Okay, so my last video just got cut off. So again, I was saying you should have a place value chart in your math journal. You should. We wrote it a while back. If not, I'll jot one down real quick. You can jot it down. I'll put one on my Google Classroom that you can look at. So what we're looking at is if I have, okay, so my place value chart. I'm going to write one down real quick while you guys are doing whatever it is you're doing. So, I'm going to place value chart. Let's see, we have ones, tens, messed up. Sorry, I'm having to go back and erase a little bit. Okay. So I've written out a not so neat place value chart. So here's a decimal. And if you read from left to right, we have hundreds, tens, ones, and then we go to our decimal. And then we have, this is where we don't have a hole when we shift to the other side of the decimal. We have tenths, we have hundredths, and we have thousandths. And then we go to 10,000ths, et cetera, et cetera. So on number 8, it asks you, the first one, it says, which one is equal to 5/10? And it asks you to circle it. So if we're looking at, if we have 5, we need to put it in the tenths chart or column. So I put my 5, let me use a different color marker. Hold on. So you guys can actually see the difference between the number and what it's asking. Okay. So it says on number 8, on the first one, it tells us it's 5/10. Okay, there's no hundreds, there's no tens, there's no ones. We bring our decimal down. So 5/10 would look like this. It should look like, and you can have a 0 here sometimes too. It can be 0.5 or just 0.5 is the same thing as 5/10. Now, moving on into the next one, it asks us for 500s, not hundredths, with THS on the end, hundreds. Well, guys, if I have $500 bills, it's going to be, now this is going down to the next one, so I'm going to skip down a little, okay? So I'm going to have 500s. Well, that's what 500s would look like, right? At least, I'm pretty sure it looks like that. Sure would like to have it in my wallet. Okay, the next one asks us for 5/10s, okay? So if I have 5 $10 bills, how much money do I have? Think about it that way. So I find tens on my chart right here, and I have 5 10s. Well, 5 10s right here, I'm going to put a little ghost 0 just for a placeholder, and I end up with 50. 5 10s is the same thing as 50. All right, and then for our last one, I'm going to have to erase these to have enough room. By the way, this is part 2 of the video. Part 1 accidentally got cut off, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to leave the decimal. We said we drop it down every time. Okay, now I have, the last one says 500ths with a THS on the end, which means it goes after or to the right of the decimal. So I need to find the word hundredths with THS on the end. I have no, it said it's 500ths. I have no tenths. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a 0 there because I don't have any. Okay, then I have hundredths. I have 5 of them. Okay, there you go. That shows 500ths. Okay, all right, so again, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. And while I'm erasing, I want to go ahead and tell you guys, the next one's going to be a little bit difficult for me to share. I'm going to try to pull it up on my computer to show you because the version I have, that the copy is black and white, and you can't hardly read it. So I'm going to look at it and show you. They're going to ask you about choose 3 expressions that the grid actually shows. There is not one on the test like this. So you know what? We're going to skip it. So just put an X over number 9 and skip it. We're not going to do it. All right, we're going to move on to number 10. Number 10 is a, it has data on it. It has a number line, and it shows us, it's a line plot that shows us certain amounts of something. That's what a line plot is. And it groups the data you've collected. Hold on, I got to find my top, guys. I just dropped my marker top, and I don't want my dog to eat it. Okay, so the line plot on number 10. Now, I'm going to show you this one because it'd take me forever to draw it out. Okay, so the line plot here shows us different amounts that the zookeeper collected. It says, I'm going to read you the question. A zookeeper measured several of the snakes in a reptile exhibit. The measures of the snakes are shown on the line plot, which is that little graph that has the line, the numbers below it, the X's up top. So the question asks us below, right here, this is kind of a big question. The question is here. It says, a snake, like the kind in the exhibit, can grow up to 3.5 feet long. Remember our cubes. There's a number. We're probably going to need to know it. So a snake, like the kind in this exhibit, can grow 3.5 feet long. It asks us how much more than the longest snake in the exhibit. So we're going to have to go, you're going to have to look on your line plot. It starts at 0 and it gets bigger. So we need to find the X of the longest snake. Well, I'm at 0. I keep going. My longest amount is down here and says 1 1/2. There are no snakes because there's not an X above 1 1/2. So there are no snakes that are that long. Well, this tells me, the data that's on my line plot tells me that 1 3/8 is the longest snake in their reptile exhibit. They're at this particular zoo. Okay, now down here it says that they can grow up to be 3.5 feet long. Okay, that's not how long they are in this zoo. They're asking us the difference between how long they can grow up to be, between the difference in how long this particular snake at this zoo is. So when they're asking the difference of something, we need to remember that the difference. We need to subtract when they're asking us the difference of these two particular animals. So we're going to have to take the amount of how long it can grow, which the problem tells us it can grow to be 3.5 feet long. Okay, so I'm going to write the number 3.5. That's how long they can grow. Now they said, what's the difference between the length they can grow to the length of the snake in this particular zoo? Well, this particular snake is 1 3/8 feet long. So to find the difference, we're going to have to subtract these two. Now, what we need to do is we've got to make these, here's the thing. We can't subtract these because they have different denominators. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to multiply the smaller denominator by 1 whole. Now, if I want to make this have the same amount as this, if I want these to have, honestly, the easiest way to do this is to change them into improper fractions and subtract. So that's what we're going to do because that's the easiest thing to do. If your teacher taught you a different way, do what they taught you. My students have been shown this. Again, do what makes sense to you. If you know how to do the answer, get it the way you know how to get it. I'm telling you this for kids who are still struggling with this, for my students. Okay, so let's change these into improper fractions. So to change a mixed number into an improper fraction, we're going to have to we're not doing this problem. We're not going to do this one right now. There is not one like this on the test. There's a similar one, but they have the same denominators. So we're going to pretend on number 10, don't answer it, just listen to me. We're going to pretend that this particular snake, we're going to pretend that this is 3 1/8, because I don't know how your teachers taught it, and I don't want to confuse you. So let's just assume, or I'm just going to change them, that the snake, that they can grow up to 3 1/8. Okay, well, this one we have to borrow in. So we're actually going to change this as well to, we're going to say that the longest snake living in captivity at a zoo can be 3 6/8. We're going to say the one at this particular zoo that we're taking the data from, their snake is 1 3/8. So let's get the difference here. So if I have, remember when you subtract fractions or mixed numbers, you have to do whole number and you have to subtract the whole numbers first. So 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, now I can subtract my fractional pieces. So I'm going to, remember, your denominator always stays the same. Go ahead and write it so you aren't tempted to try to change it into anything else. Then I'm going to actually just subtract my top 2 numbers, my numerators. 6 minus 3 is 3. So if that were the problem, we would get an answer of 2 3/8. Again, don't worry about having a problem where denominators aren't the same. That is not a standard for 4th grade. They do want you to know how to regroup, but we've already been over that. So this test, actually, there is not one where you will have to regroup. The test is on Google Classroom. It'll post in the morning. Also, I'm going to try to read to you guys tonight a bedtime story. We've been reading Stone Fox, so I'm going to, hopefully, even though I left the book at school, I'm really going to have to probably read it off my computer. That's okay. I'm going to read it to you guys so that we stay caught up. And once we're finished with Stone Fox, you can take an AR test on it and get those points in. So I'll read that later and post that tonight, maybe around 8-ish. I've got to go cook supper now for my heathens and my husband. So enjoy your evening. I hope this made sense. Sorry, I'm not dressed up. And hopefully when I get the, what's it called? The tripod, the stand, whatever you want to call it, and the lapel mic, this will be a little bit more professional and steady, and I can actually move it around to show you some stuff. Maybe I'll actually order a bigger dry erase board so I can set the phone up and write while we work. So, all right, stay well, wash your hands, do your work. Talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye.